get started?
Hi, everyone. I'm sure you heard as you entered the room, but just so you know, this meeting is being recorded. Laurie, I'll turn things over to you.
Great. So we're really happy to have Schatar and Maxie here today, tonight for us on the East Coast. I just wanted to let you know that there'll be time for questions and answers, but you can also pop some things into the chat. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Laurie McCall, and at Platt House, and we have Megan Edelman and Sarah Outing here too from Platt House. But the real stars of the show tonight, and I have to tell you this story. So Schatar Collier and Maxi Collier are here tonight to talk about their work in the entertainment industry. But Schatar reached out to us, which is always special because you know, we're always interested in hearing from alumni who want to help and want to engage with the students and want to share. And we especially love having people who are in the arts and entertainment industry come and talk to our students, because we aren't career services, so we can kind of get away with this because it appeals to the students that we serve. So we're really excited, and it was really nice that she reached out. I'm going to let them talk soon, but I just want you to know that when Schatar was here, she was, like a lot of you probably on this call, she was very active in the performing arts, in what used to be the Arts House, which featured a lot of different arts, which eventually became groups in PAC. So Arts House was a living and learning program. And she did a lot at Penn, and in so many ways, she's probably like a lot of you, or you are like her, in that you had a passion for something at Penn, and now you may be interested in using that passion or taking that passion further into a career. So Schatar is an actress, she's a producer, she has been on network TV, she's been in movies, and together with Maxie, her husband, they own and operate different channels, which have come in really handy during the pandemic. So I'm gonna let them talk more about themselves, and I hope that they brag a lot and they're not too shy, and I hope that you can learn a lot from them. So I'm gonna turn it over to you, Schatar and Maxie, and go ahead.
Thank you, Laurie.
Yes, thank you so much. So glad to be here with you. So my name is Sapphira Collier. I'm here actually with my husband, Maxi Collier, and I graduated from Penn in 1992. And I always knew that I wanted to be in the entertainment industry. And there are many things that I learned after Penn from doing national tours and then working in Hollywood, and now I have the company with my husband. And I wanted to give it to you to just introduce yourself and say some things before I go into the tech part, because while we're here, I want you guys to take notes, because I'm going to give you some real world tools that you'll actually be able to use in real auditions.
Hey everybody, Maxi Collier. I am what you call an OG. In our case, that stands for Original Geek. I'm one of those guys who in the 80s was all about hip hop and computers at a time when most of the world didn't know much about either of those things. You know, so Schatar and I got married in 2013, and we started our company, New Vista Studios, at that time. And we also had an agency. I had an agency for about 15 years called Urban Freelancers. And in particular, Urban Freelancers was devoted to the idea of looking at what emergent technology was coming, whether it was drones, 3D printers, telecommunications, looking at these emerging technologies and then creating training programs while also creating marketplaces that it enabled opportunities for the people we had trained. So in around 2017, we had a client called LOL Kids Club here in Las Vegas. And we found that for that particular client, we were using a whole lot of live streaming technologies because at that particular time, the social media platforms kind of favored live streaming, and you can get a lot of impressions and a lot of reach. So as we saw how we were able to use the live streaming in order to do pre-event promotions, in order to do live interviews and quickly create content, because when we look at the advantages of live streaming, one of the advantages we have is this real-time dynamic ability to rapidly create content. And so we saw that in 2017, and we started a company called Super Livestreams. And from the beginning, Super Livestreams was dedicated to using live streaming video marketing technology in order to help local businesses and creative artists and entrepreneurs. And so, dear, I'll let you pick it up from there.
Absolutely. So that link is superlivestreams.com. Again, that's superlivestreams with an S, superlivestreams.com. And Super Livestreams is the parent company that covers all of our channels. So some of our channels are the documentary and reality TV channel, and these are on Roku, and some are on Amazon Fire. We also have Black Reflections TV, and I'll give you the domains while we're here as well. So Docs and Reality is docsandreality.tv. Black Reflections is blackreflections.tv. We have a new channel that is launching called All Women, and that is allwomen.tv. These channels are live and they're on Roku now. We also have a new one that is coming. You'll see some starter content on it, and it's about teaching art, so people who have an interest in painting and that sort of thing. So that is on Roku, and it's Teach Art TV. And there are 22 channels total that we have an idea for, but we know to release them, test first, see what sticks, see what the audience is like, put more of that content out and grow those channels. And the ones that don't do as well, we remove those channels and replace them with content that the audience actually does want in some of the channels. But where did it all start? So I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts. And in Boston, my godmother was a producer for the New England Emmy Award. So I grew up as a kid, you know, peeking around the curtain saying, I cannot wait to be an adult until I can actually do this thing. And, you know, she trained me even at that age with professional tools and techniques, so that by the time I was old enough to participate in artistic professional capacity, that I would be ready. And I'm going to share some of these techniques with you as well. Some actual sites and links, software and tools that you'll be able to use in your career. So from Boston, I moved to Washington and went to high school there, participated in all sorts of singing groups and every theatrical event that I could. And when I came to Penn, it was exactly the same thing. I joined and sang with the Inspiration and have wonderful memories from there. The Penn Gospel Choir, I sang with them. And I'll go ahead and share my screen for some of the things that actually occurred while I was at Penn. And I say this to say that while you are there at Penn right now, now is your time to practice. And I know you guys know this because you're already here and connected through the Platt Student Performing Arts House. So now is the time to learn these tools and really practice so that by the time you are in the professional arena, you are completely solid on all of the things that you've learned there. So that gives you an opportunity to have space to be able to learn some of the other things that will apply on set in a professional setting. So I'm going to go ahead and share this screen. While I was at Penn, I mentioned I sang with the Inspiration, and that was an opportunity to learn, to working with groups, and also we received a lot of great coverage. So we had some BP articles, which was wonderful fun, but you also learn how to be prepared for live programs, everything from costuming to, you know, dress rehearsals and all of these things, some of which you might be doing right now. So I also participated in some of the plays. This is Amen Corner, and here's the actual program. At that time, this was the Penn Black Arts League, but here's the actual program from Amen Corner. And again, I graduated from Penn in 1992. So yes, this is, I'm not even going to continue to date myself, but we continue to sing and perform around campus, and it gives you a lot of practice for what's to come. Now, this is the actual page from our Arts House yearbook, and these are my some of my roommates and fellow folks. So all of these things that you're getting, things that may have personal and sentimental significance, you can hold on to them as you continue and go on in your life and your career. So after Penn, I had a chance to audition for a movie. I found out there are so many things that I worked on, but okay, well, I'll take it back. While I was still at Penn, I participated in a professional production in Boston on the weekends. So I was able to structure all of my classes so that they would occur on Tuesday and Thursday. And then after class on Thursday, I would take the train 6 hours back to Massachusetts to participate in a live professional theatrical production. And then after the Sunday matinee, I would get back on the train and come back and do my classes at Penn. And that sort of extremely vigorous pace really prepares me to be on, professional sets like Boston Legal and some of the others, because there's not a lot of downtime. You have to receive the information from the director, follow through and being on time for all of your performances, and still complete your academic obligations and learn along the way. But while I was there at Penn, I had a chance to audition. I heard about, that Spike Lee was casting a movie, and so I went from Penn to New York and was able to just go on that set and perform as an extra, but take a look around while I'm there on set and see, what are the camera operators doing? What are the actors doing? What is the AD? What is their job? What is the director doing? So that you know how to navigate a professional set when you are working as the actor, or you are working as the AD or the director or the cinematographer. And so after working on one of the other shows, this is a coverage in Sister to Sister, I had a chance to audition for the movie Amistad. So I found out that they were having auditions for Amistad. And if you have an opportunity to work with Debbie Allen and Steven Spielberg, you absolutely take it. So I wanted to make sure that I stood out in the audition. So I went dressed in period garb. I put on clothes from that time period. I made sure, that I didn't have nail tips on. I actually was dressed from head to toe in period garb. I even put coffee grounds on my clothing to make it look like I was from that time. And after I auditioned, the casting directors called and said, "We appreciated all of your efforts so much in doing this for the role that we want you to come and work on set." And so I did. So I had a chance to work with them. Damon Hunsu was there, Anthony Hopkins and Matthew McConaughey, just to have the opportunity to be on that set as a very young person and look around and see how things operate on a professional set was truly a blessing. So if you have this type of opportunity, or you hear about a casting notice for a professional film, take it if you can, and just take the opportunity to learn how to navigate the set, what the roles are, what a call sheet looks like, to see how craft services are integrated in the day, because these are things that when it's time for you to be up and on, that you will be ready. So after that, I had a chance to participate in, many other shows. In 2000, I believe it was, I did a show at the John F. Kennedy Center. And at that time, I believe this was my third John F. Kennedy Center show. It was a national production, so we toured the US for 6 months, which was wonderful. And they used to have a magazine called Backstage, a printed magazine called Backstage, which is now in a digital form. Backstage.com is the site. But I was reading Backstage while I was on the tour bus, and it said that the average salary, the mean salary for people who did live theater at that time was $6,183 annually. And so I said, okay, I really like theater, but I also want to be able to support myself and my family. I have to take the opportunity to go to LA to make way for residuals to be a part of my professional career. I felt like I didn't put all of this time in and training all of these years, and to secure this degree at Penn, to be what I would consider to be just at one place where I wouldn't be able to provide for my family, because that would create additional stress. So I did leave, and I went to California. And while I was there, I had the opportunity to learn. The very first thing I did as soon as I arrived was go to a talent agent, audition for the agent, and actually be picked up by the agent. But I also received an internship to work with that agency. So if you have a chance to work with an agency or a management company, I also highly recommend that you take it. Why? Because you get a chance to see actual casting calls from real shows, CBS shows, Fox, ABC, NBC, as they're coming across the desk of the agent, so that A, you know what they're looking for, and B, you might actually have the opportunity to submit yourself for some of the roles that they're looking for. So if you have an opportunity to work with an agent in LA, please do take it. So that was a wonderful learning experience working with the agents. And then I continued to do different movies, television shows, and auditions. And once I received an audition for a show that actually turned out to be Flavor of Love, which was produced by MTV Network. And at the time, you know, it was just another audition of many. So sometimes you do these auditions and you'll do the shows, but you never know, you know, will anyone ever see the show? Is it going to be picked up? Is it just going to sit on someone's shelf for, you know, another 10 years? Or you never know what it can see. So I recommend that you put your best foot forward with every audition, no matter what it is. Really pay attention. You don't want it to come off like, oh, this is just a small audition, you know, I'm waiting to, you know, work with HBO or whatever it is. Really take time and value the casting director's time. They've taken time to invite you to audition for that production. They're hired most likely by the production company to do their job of casting those things. So when they bring you in, you want it to be an experience that makes you look good and also makes them look great. So take every opportunity to do that seriously, every audition, regardless of what it is. Then I'll just continue. I did Flavor of Love, and of course, well, the show went #1 for MTV Network, and they did a spin-off show called Charm School, which also aired MTV Networks and VH1. It premiered with 5.1 million viewers, which is a really successful show. It continues to be one of the top shows in the history of the network. And I'm really happy to have been able to participate in that way. And in fact, the producer of the show is actually a Penn alum, which is great. So then we had the opportunity to continue to grow, you know, professionally, continue to do different movies and TV shows. I had the opportunity to join different professional organizations. So if you have an interest in becoming an actor, the professional organization for you might be the Screen Actors Guild, and that's abbreviated SAG, so the Screen Actors Guild. You can go to the Screen Actors Guild website and find out ways to join. There's also Actors Equity, which covers the live theatrical performances. So Broadway, many of those are Broadway, they're all Actors Equity performances, but there are many theaters across the country, including regional theaters, that are also Actors Equity contracts, which is good. Then you are guaranteed a specific salary for that time, and then you will be able to also have other benefits that a union can provide. So Screen Actors Guild and Actors Equity. So those are organizations you can join.
Now, dear, before you move on, can you address the question that we have faced so many times over these years about the authenticity of the character that you played on Flavor of Love?
Oh, okay. So people ask me if Hottie is the name of the character on Flavor of Love, and people are often surprised to find that Hottie is a character. Hottie is a character that I played on a couple of shows, but I did play the character Hottie. And one of the other scenes that people often ask about, thank you, husband, the chicken scene. They asked me, did you really not know how to make chicken? And the answer is, I truly was raised as a vegetarian. So I did not know how to cook chicken, but I also understood that this was a show, so I wanted to have fun with the scene. So I took the raw chicken and put marshmallows on it, and carrots, and mushrooms, and some chow mein noodles, and put jelly on it, and thinking of people like a Lucille Ball along the way. And then I also looked at the stove where I saw all of the hot grease, just pans and pans filled with extremely hot grease, and I could not help but think about Al Green at that moment. So I turned around and there was the microwave. So I took the chicken, placed it in the microwave, pressed the chicken button, and that is the scene. And again, with the show, it's essentially improv. They give you a situation and then you have to sort of act it out. you're literally acting it out. And I kept in mind, okay, what's something that the audience will want to tune back in for tomorrow? So you bring things like, fun costumes and fun scenes. Often the camera will, if the camera is not in the room, you may sit and talk to your fellow castmates. But as soon as the camera comes in, you have to be on because we are there to create a show. So the characters are not real. The show is literally a show. So then we did get married. We got married in 2013. And everyone kept asking us about, it didn't matter what else we produced, but they kept asking us about the chicken. And so we said, okay, we see we've done these technological things. We've created a reading TV channel, that we've created all of these other things. We always ask about the chicken. So we created the show Poultry Princess. Now, Poultry Princess is all about cooking. It literally is. But another thing is that when people are searching on the web, they might look up hottie and chicken. And previously, that SEO went directly to VH1 or MTV only. Now, with the show Poultry Princess, you can search the term hottie and chicken, and our show will come up, and people can watch our content now as well on our channels, on our Roku channels, and on Amazon Prime. So these are things you want to think about as you're going forward with your career, things you can do on your own website, or you can add the appropriate tags. You can add the specific categories, and from those tags that you add on your professional website, and I'm speaking specifically if you have a WordPress website, you're able to add the specific tags. When people are searching for you and they enter your name, these things will start to come up. Would you like to talk about tagging and SEO while we're here?
Yes. So again, we got married in 2013, and having but 10 years prior to that, I had basically been what now they call a social media manager. At the time, though, in the mid 2000s, there really wasn't a term for this. So it was based upon the idea of search engine optimization. So how do we appear in the search engines when someone goes to search for our name? How do we appear on YouTube? What is it associated with? Are the messages that are coming across in that search engine truly reflective of our brands, of our interest? So having spent years working for major companies and organizations helping promote their brands online, when we got married, and then Schatar and I would go search for her name on the internet. So basically every February, VH1 will re-air The Flavor of Love. And so we would see a spike in Google searches for Schatar, and we would, and coming from this industry, it was like physically frustrating and painful to me that the searches and all that traffic was just going to VH1. So we knew that we had to do some strategizing and to create some properties that we owned so that when people searched for Schatar on the web, it would benefit us in some way. We created this Poultry Princess based upon the idea that everywhere we would go across the country, her fans would come up to her and say, Schatar, chicken, how about that chicken? And so it became a challenge to get past that. So rather than become frustrated by it, we said, let's embrace this. As a newlywed, she was cooking more for me and our family members and things. And so my aunts and my sisters, I have 5 sisters, and my family members were teaching her how to cook. So I said, okay, cool, let's just document this. And so we created Poultry Princess first as a TV show, which we debuted on Amazon Prime a couple of years ago. And it immediately got a lot of attention and started generating substantial thousands of views and things like that. But then about a year into it, the business model changed. And I don't know if you want to talk about that now, dear, or talk about it later.
Oh, sure. The business model changed. At least through the Amazon portal, the rate that you receive as a producer and a video content creator, it was 15 cents per viewer hour, so 15 cents per hour, okay? So then it went to 6 cents per viewer hour, and now it's close to 1 cent per viewer hour. However, the folks at Penn, we look at the big picture, right? And we say, okay, how do we look at this business model and make sure that it can benefit our company? So we had the opportunity to put not just this, but the cookbook as part of the Poultry Princess brand. So there's a Poultry Princess cookbook that is now on Amazon, which is, the retail is $20. And then if you think about that, You can sell, many cookbooks that are a companion product to your streams, but you also have to think about how many streams is it? How many streams does it take to get the same amount to your company that it does for the sale of one cookbook? So you have to think about how you're incorporating these merchandising items and how they fit into your brand.
And so from this experiment became a new business model for us. As we watched the digital streams just plummet in pricing, again, from 15 cents per viewer hour, which means that if someone watched 1 hour of our content on Amazon Prime, we got paid 15 cents. It dropped from that to 6 cents to 1 cent. So from 15 cents to 1 cent per viewer hour on the same content, we knew we had to modify our business model. So we started printing the cookbook. And again, now this is another part of our key concepts. It's the idea that these digital tools that are at our disposal are like digital Legos that we click, 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 and put together under the right circumstances. So whether we're talking about Gumroad as a digital distribution platform, Amazon has a whole suite of tools that entrepreneurs can access free. You go to Amazon, you set up an account on the developer's account, and you set up what they call the free tier. And now you get access to a variety of tools at Amazon. So for Schatar's project here, we're using Amazon KDP, Kindle on direct publishing. So that means we're able to take a manuscript, upload it to Amazon, and concurrently create the ebook and the print version in just a couple of clicks. So now those same digital streams that we watch plummet in value can become advertising and marketing and promotion for a print product. So in the book sells between $15 and $20, generating between $6 and $8 or $9 per book sale. Look how many digital streams we have to generate that exact same sort of revenue.
Exactly. And then the other thing is, if you think long-term about your professional goals, there might be the possibility for you to have a channel of your own, a Roku channel that can promote your brand. And when you do have a Roku channel, you may have the opportunity to advertise on that channel. And then taking the chance to advertise on that channel, what are some sort of ads you can run? Perhaps you can run an ad for the cookbook on that channel. And so these are ways that these things connect and that they fit into the entire universe of what we're doing here with this. So this is Poultry Princess and one of the brands that we have, and you've seen it here. I want to go ahead and move forward.
So as the shows start dropping in value, we knew that we had to start distributing our own content or having other ways to distributing, our content. So Schatar had mentioned about Roku channels, and Roku channels are are a subset of video online of what we call OTT, over the top streaming channels, meaning originally these channels were not broadcast channels. They were not cable channels. They were strictly delivered by internet protocol, internet television. So Roku channels, OTT channels, Amazon Fire TV channels, these allow independent publishers to use a series of tools, once again, these digital Legos, to now you can create your own channel and your own platform. Now, why would we want to do that? If we look at right now how YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all of these platforms are dynamically and rapidly changing their rules as we try to fight disinformation and stuff online. So when you have your own channel and your own platforms, you have the capability to build brands that can grow in value and for which you have greater control. So if I'm an Instagrammer and I have 500,000 followers on Instagram and I'm getting traffic, but I do one violation and all of a sudden my Instagram account is shut down, you can literally be shutting down my whole business. However, if as a digital entrepreneur, I have your direct email address, your direct phone number, or some means to communicate directly, now we're entering a new realm of what we call direct to consumer access. You want to talk about that?
Absolutely. I do. And this direct to consumer access is something that he talked about in a documentary. Maxie is also the producer and director of the documentary Paper Chasers, which followed, folks like Ludacris and Fat Joe about the business lessons that they have in entrepreneurship and hip hop. Hence the documentary and reality brand. His background was documentaries and tech, and my background, reality television and production. And so we came together to create this book. Can you tell me something about Paper Chasers, in case there are some who would like to produce a documentary or tell a story in that way? Because Paper Chasers has a very successful route. It went to the Tribeca Film Festival, and it streamed on Netflix, which is considered a dream route for anyone with their first major film. Can you talk about Paper Chasers?
Well, I spent most of the 90s and my 20s at the college age of most of you all working the Black entertainment television there in Washington, D.C. And it was there where I learned broadcast and professional television. But as I mentioned, in the 80s, I was learning computers on my own. So as I was learning broadcast television, working at BET, I was able to combine what I learned there with my computer technology and very early on write a book called The Digital Video Filmmaker's Handbook. Now, I wrote and self-published this book in 1998, and it was one of the first books encouraging and advocating for digital production, which we had the tools at that time, digital post-production, digital distribution, which we did not have the tools at that time, and digital promotion, which we now call social media marketing. So I wrote that book in the late 90s, and I spent a lot of time in the 90s and working in the entertainment business, working in Silicon Valley. So having seen the parallel between what was popping in the show business over here and what was happening in Silicon Valley, I decided to do a documentary called Paper Chasers. I wanted to go around and take a look at some entrepreneurs around the world and how they were building their business, especially in the hip hop community. So I got through a series of events, partially because of my self-published book, I got a deal with an upstart company called the Independent Film Channel, which at that time was a small production and cable company that was barely on anyone's radar. And so I spent 3 years working on that documentary, Paper Chasers, traveling all over the world, interviewing entrepreneurs, artists, and executives. The movie debuted at the Tribeca Film Festival in 2003. One of the artists that I ended up catching early on in his career was the rapper Ludacris, who I met about 4 months before he released his independent album. And he provided an opportunity over the next 3 years for us to track him and follow his growth as he built his creative entrepreneurial based business, and that's all documented in Paper Chasers. You can see it at paperchasers.tv. So again, my history was in documentaries. Schatar's was in reality television. We saw watching what was happening with Amazon, that we would always be subject to the platforms, that we would always be a sharecropper to the platforms. It's what they call digital sharecropping. It's the idea that if you're building a brand just on Facebook or just on YouTube or just on Instagram, you truly do not own anything. You don't own customer data. You don't own emails. You are really just carving out a little slice of someone else's farm. When you build your own platforms, when you collect that email address and that phone number, you are then empowered to have a direct relationship with your audience and your consumers. So now you can do crowdfunding. You can do product launches and releases directly. And the thing that's so exciting is that there are now a plethora of entrepreneurial ventures and companies that have started taking this approach to creating their own platforms, creating their own programming, and creating their own tools and services. And especially as we look into quarantine in this COVID era, as so many of us are having to virtualize and rethink digital, so the OTT channels provide an out opportunity. So if you are a church and now all of a sudden you can no longer reach the same number of members that you did previously, you can set up a Roku channel or a Fire TV channel or a web streaming portal that perhaps can help you reach greater numbers than you've ever reached before, as we just experienced with the San Antonio Black International Film Festival, who we helped to go from analog to virtual this year. And do you want to talk about that?
Sure. This is the very first year that they were virtual, the San Antonio Black International Film Festival. It was just now, October 1st through 4th. And it just finished. We had wonderful panels, opening night panel with the celebrity actor, Danny Glover, and also filmmaker Charles Burnett, one of the filmmakers that was originally a winner at the Sabif Film Festival just got a deal with Ava DuVernay's Array, and their production is now on Netflix. And then we just had a really great opportunity to incorporate the streaming and showcase the filmmakers in this way. But I say that to say, if you go to sabif.tv, that is San Antonio Black International Film Festival, so sabif with 2 F's, .tv/watch, you'll be able to look at all of the content that was created and the live streams at that time. So here's Danny Glover and the host, Charles Burnett is here. But the other thing is, a lot of people saw the streams, but they are not aware that we actually created the platform. So while you're there studying at Penn, you want to make sure that you'll see some of the different tools that you might need going forward. If you have the opportunity to learn how to operate WordPress, please take it. They have wonderful resources there for you to learn this kind of technology so that you can present yourself in a way that you would like to be presented on the web and that you know how that runs. So this is the site where they can actually watch it. I'm going to go ahead and just press play so that you can see we actually produce some of the content here, including this countdown timer. So you want to know how to edit on things like Adobe Premiere, how to use software and tools like Canva, C-A-N-V-A, to create graphics if you don't already know how. And then here you can click playlist, and the playlist opens, and you can select whichever show you would like and watch it right here on the page. So these are some very technologically advanced tools that are incorporated into this film festival site, but you want to look at the tools that you have available to you, as well as looking ahead with the other tools and resources that may be available. Did you want to talk about Super Live Stream?
Yeah, so well, just real quick with Sabif, if we can go back there.
Sure.
So one of the things, having been in the film festival circuit for so many years, one of the things that we wanted to do was create a virtual experience of multiple concurrent streamings and panels and other things that replicated the real-time experience. So in this site, we created a number of virtual studios. This main stage was always available to the public for free. But then we also had 3 live streaming stages where we had programmed a series of blocks of movies that screened on Theater 1 and 2 for more than 12 hours on each day of the festival. So people, as they're choosing, they can pop into a theater and watch something screening in real time. And because it's live streamed, it's a concurrent viewing experience for everyone around the world. But we also had a video on demand platform component that allowed people to come back and check things as a replay. So there we have our main stage, we have our smaller theaters, but we also have a micro social networking component to this entire website. So now, not only was this website able to be used as a distribution platform, but it was able to be used as a project management and organizational site for the whole film festival. All of those emails and phone calls and download links that we were having to do before the site were able to be consolidated here into a couple of select groups that were only accessible by members of the organizing committee. This saved us tremendous time. And again, because we were working with such a tight budget, time was the ever constant commodity which we had to handle. So we were able to set up also chat rooms. We had a main chat room as well as other individual chat rooms for each of the theater. This allowed people to talk and dialogue during our panel discussions and became very lively and active, an important part of the overall community during the film project. And so now, we spoke earlier about SEO, search engine optimization. One of the benefits that this site will continue to offer to filmmakers and the films associated is that it will grow in reach via Google as we update the film and filmmaker pages. As people search for these films and filmmakers, this site will show up and it becomes a digital billboard, providing opportunity to promote.
It absolutely does. And as people who have an interest in performing, you want to think about that as well. All of these filmmakers received a custom filmmaker page, and all of the films received a custom film page. Each of these pages were also tagged. I'll go ahead and click on one of these. Each of these pages were also tagged so that when people are searching for these films across the web, now it benefits the films, it benefits the filmmakers, and it also benefits the site.
Yes. Yes, and so again, this ties into some of our overall philosophies at Super Live Streams. You know, and for us, it is about planning, pre-production, platforms, programming, promotions. You know, when the client comes to us, like for example, as more people are virtualizing, one of the first challenges that we're seeing is that people are reducing their budgets, slashing them substantially because of the cost savings that they anticipate with not having a physical location. What we're telling people is you have to increase your platform allocation because you want to create a situation that is secure and that is scalable and repeatable. So people say, oh, we'll just do the event on Zoom. Well, and we're on Zoom, and Zoom is great for select type of events. But as I mentioned earlier in another conversation, at this point, Zoom is like a public utility. It's like an electricity company. It's like a cable company. It's a tool for us. We could not have done this film festival right here just using Zoom. In fact, we had to use more than 24 digital tools in order to pull this all together. Everything from WordPress to a variety of our own customized apps that we created. So for example, we created a self-recorder app that allows people to go to a page and quickly and easily record video according to our specifications. And it comes right to us without them having to download or upload. You know, we created an audition app. We've created a variety of tools to supplement some of the things that we need in order to do these projects. So
I actually want to share that. So here is an actual use case scenario of the self-recorder in place. So self-recorder is essentially something, and Maxie hand coded this, I want to you know, he coded the page by hand, but essentially people can go to that link, they can turn on their video camera, record themselves, and it automatically is uploaded to our portal where the producers and the editors can access that footage and begin to create their content. So this is an actual real use case scenario in which this DJ, a radio announcer, went to the site, clicked record, recorded his upload, and now it was able to appear as part of the live stream. So that is the self-recorder, is another piece. So you see how many pieces are connected for each and every entertainment initiative.
And every piece has the potential to have friction that can make people not use those things. You know, so we focus a lot on accessibility and usability and creating opportunities for that flustered teacher or that flustered doctor to be able to easily utilize these tools, because again, that's what we began to see in the segmentation of these audiences, as we would expect that there's a lot of folks younger than 35 who are very fluid. You guys are digital first generation. Mm-hmm. However, as we look at a lot of our generation, the older generation, some folks believe that they could just hide their head in the sand and not address the need to go virtual. But the reality is right now, every segment of our world is having to look for the opportunities to go virtual, but even more importantly, there's more money and resources being distributed towards these things. So there is accelerated growth in certain areas of e-learning, e-commerce, telemedicine, and things like that. We want to help people know to get over technophobia, to get over biases and fears and concerns, and know that this is the time to specialize and seize some of this specialized knowledge and tools and resources that are out here. And in doing so, then you become an enabler for those who are not yet using this technology, who are not yet using social media. And when I was in the 90s coming up, you know, there was a term in the geek world called the digital divide. It was the idea that people of color had less access to internet and technology and hardware and these tools. So accordingly, at that time, they said that lack of access was creating an imbalance in educational opportunities. At this point, all these years later, they believe that there is a 10-year differentiation between access to technology and services between the African-American and the mainstream communities. So part of our mission is to provide content and programming and resources that make technology immediately available to diverse communities, while also training a next generation of enablers. You know, we want to teach the next generation of Maxies and Schatars. We've set up a training program called the Super Live Producers Training Program. And that is exactly our initiative, to take 12 weeks, and during these 12 weeks, to teach people what we've learned to be the most practical and applicable tools, services, resources, processes for creating not just, you know, channels, but mobile apps, chat bots, online stores, a variety of things that people need in this digital world right now.
Absolutely. And as he was saying about the tools, how important it is to recognize the tools that we have now. And I know it's 4:49 here as far as the time. I want to actually show some physical tools for the people who have an interest in still performing and what it might look like when you go into a professional audition, and what tools you should have when you should go in. So if you have your notebooks out, here's the time to actually go ahead and take some notes. Okay, so you want to use the sites that they use for the breakdowns in LA primarily, and in New York, a site called Breakdown Services. This is where they cast the shows for many of these channels. So most of the shows that you're watching, they most likely have been cast via a service called Breakdown Services. It may have been done through a service called Now Casting. And then there is also backstage.com. You can find auditions there. When you receive your audition notice, you can also use a site called Actors Access. And that is where you will receive actual invitations to audition. Once you receive your audition notice and they send you your sides are the scripts that they actually send you. And it comes, you know, when you print it out, it's a full, I see it's being keyed right here, but it's a full page, okay? So when you receive your sides, you don't want to leave it like this. You don't want to leave it as a full page like this. The way to prepare it is you chop it down. You remove your margins from the top, the sides, and the bottom, and then you staple it right here, not on a diagonal, but directly straight across, right in the front. That way, when you go into your audition and they ask you to read your lines, even if you have your lines memorized and you're going in for an audition for the first time, bring your sides in with you and make sure that they're prepared like this. Because why go in with the paper like this and they can barely see your face, right? No, you want it nice and concise. Yes, so that they can see your face.
Can you give a few tips for online auditions as well, since there's so many available?
I absolutely will. For online auditions, again, when you receive your casting notice, it might come through Actors Access, something like this. So their service in which you do online auditions is called EcoCast, E-C-O-C-A-S-T, EcoCast. When you click your EcoCast notice, it has the information on the production, and then here you click to receive your sides. Then you can also upload your audition right from home. Now, if it is a voiceover audition, you can use a site called Audacity. Audacity is an open source tool. It's a recording software, and there are plenty of videos on YouTube you can use to learn how to operate with Audacity. It's completely free. So audacityteam.org is the site. That's audacityteam.org. Go ahead and download Audacity and then watch some introductory videos on how to use it. Make sure that when you're recording, you're not just recording into your phone or directly into your laptop, but invest in a microphone. You can use a snowball or other type of microphone that will plug directly into your laptop or your phone so that you have nice, clear audio. Because when they are casting you remotely, if they are expecting you to do production remotely, they will want to know that you can do excellent quality production remotely. So you want that quality to show in your audition as well.
And there's tremendous opportunities for voiceovers, for audiobooks, as well as once you have your studio set up, you're ready for podcasting on your own too.
Absolutely, definitely. And when you do record your segment, now this is another pro tip from a television producer. You want to save your file name as your name and the phone number that you're using. So for example, with this, this casting notice that I mentioned, I would save the file name as Schatar, and then I would put my phone number, and that is the name of the file name so that they know how to reach you. I'm not saying give out your personal number. You can get a Google Voice number. Google provides a free telephone number for you. It can connect to your Gmail account. So if you do not have a Google Voice number yet, go ahead and sign up for it. Then when you're submitting the information, you put your name and your phone number in the file name so that as soon as the casting director opens it, they see the file name, they know exactly who is who. And so I've also mentioned you should attend casting director panels if you can. So if they have any virtual panels like this one we're doing today, you can attend. Software and services that are helpful are Audacity, Adobe Premiere Pro, Canva, and then cameras you can use to have an HD output. You can use something like a Logitech webcam, the Logitech 920, or something better.
You can also take those old Android and old iPhone cameras and repurpose them as webcams and get even better quality than some of these webcams.
Yes, and I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen now so that we can open the room for questions.
Megan, Sarah, do you guys have any questions?
Well, I was just going to jump in to say, this is Megan. Hello, Floating Head.
Hi.
Hi. So I'll pop in as well. First of all, thank you so much for that incredible presentation. I am like taking down notes furiously for things that I can do in my own work and life. So thank you. I want to say to everyone on the call, please feel free to use the raise your hand tool or turn on your video and raise your hand or drop questions in the chat, whatever way is most accessible and good for you. I want to ask, your story, both of you, is like very inspirational and full of great successes. Did you ever have moments, you know, these are tough industries, where you felt like sort of the yoke of disappointment, and like what did you do to keep yourself going, knowing that, you know, there will be hurdles and challenges ahead?
I want you to know, Megan, that a casting director told me that there are probably 9 no's for every yes in a day in LA, right? So just know that rejection of some kind, or things that may not go, you know, exactly like you imagined or dreamed that they could, it happens many times sometimes throughout the day. But there are also those successes that occur. So I want you to definitely stay encouraged and understand that this industry is long. I graduated in 1992. I was working even before then, and I'm still in this industry. The contacts that I made right there at Penn are still some of my very, very best friends even now. So I would say to find the things that encourage you, and then also to clearly define the things that you consider successes for you. You know, to identify what that is and make sure to have those regularly if you can. And know that your life, your career, your success path is not determined by anyone else except for you. So yes, you may work with other companies. You may work with an HBO or a Star, you know, or casting directors, or especially with your literary background, you may work, you know, in script rooms often, or working with actors, directors, and so on. Understand that you are in control of your own life and your own path, and to find those successes in the day.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we were coming up, you know, and wanted to make a movie, you know, back in the days, we had to go through the labor of writing the script, and then, you know, you would spend years looking for permission from someone to get to the next stage.
Yes.
That gatekeeper would have to authorize the money. Then they would have to get creative input, you know, and this is whether we're talking about the music industry, the publishing industry, the film industry. So every morning, you know, we kind of have to tell ourselves, I'm my own gatekeeper now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and just like we used to take the Legos out and pour them out and make something from scratch with these digital Legos, we have to do that too. We have to pick one project, you know, and say, okay, no matter what else is going on in my space and in my world, let me pick this one project with low-hanging fruit, as my friend Nichelle says, you know, short-term goals, and let me pick this one project, and now let me learn one new skill on this project. Let me know that if I'm not careful, there could be a whole river, a whole stream of new information coming my way that I have to sort through. However, if I can pick one project, is it going to be a blog page? Am I going to make a journal? Am I going to make a YouTube channel? Am I going to make a video? Am I a mobile app? Let me pick one project and find the information that we need in order to execute on that project and have realistic expectations on that first beta version of that project. There's a new concept called, it's not even new for you guys, but for us OG entrepreneurs, called lean startup. And lean startup, once upon a time when we were making software and apps and things, we'd get an idea today, and it would be 2, 3, 4, 5 years before that product came out. And then customers may or may not like it. In the lean startup approach, you have a minimal viable product. That means create a product that represents the basis of your idea, knowing that it is not perfection, but it's done. And then use the tools to survey people about that product and get feedback, and then incorporate that feedback into your creation of your next iteration. So that's what we're encouraging people. You know, we're encouraging people who are at home, who have chunks of time, who are feeling overwhelmed or frustrated, to pick one particular project, one particular tool, and then run through that. Track down the YouTube videos, go to Udemy, you know, go to lynda.com or LinkedIn Learning and grab the information that you need in order to achieve that one project. Then get feedback on it based on knowing that it is a beta and an initial. Be kind to yourself in assessing it, and then go to the next stage with it.
I'm so glad that you said that. And I'm so glad that you asked this too, because the technology that we studied when I was at school is different from the technology now. So you have to look ahead 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years. So the technology changes as new things are developed. So for example, someone could have gone to school to learn how to, you know, manufacture CDs, right? And that would have, if that was the only thing that they knew. But now look where we are. Where are CDs now? It's a very specialized thing. So look ahead and be smart about that as you're investing that time and learning those new tools.
I'm so grateful for both of your responses, and like, I'm just thinking about like the sense of building the toolkit and the way you said it, like one thing at a time, that focus and kind of layering things up. It also makes it, not only are you going to like dedicate that more focused approach to it, but it makes it more manageable, like taking it in those bite-sized pieces. Yes. And also the note about you defining your own success, because I feel like that gets pushed on people a lot, like what is the expectations, but it really does come from within. And that's for anything anyone pursues. So I'm so grateful for your responses. And I know Sarah popped up. I see a bunch of questions in the chat. Yeah, Sarah, is that what you're coming up with?
Chat questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Start reading through those chat questions. They're good ones too. The first one that I see, a quick one, is a note from Anne. Fascinating industry info and really practical advice. Thank you. And I agree, Anne. I'm also up in here taking like all kinds of notes.
Good.
Laura wanted to know, for Schatar, I guess, what was your major at Penn?
I was a women's studies major with a concentration in English. And so I understand that actually comes into play when dissecting scripts, right? And helping with the script. Yes.
Jason wants to know, what if you get sick after you've gotten a role? Ooh, that's a stressful question to even think about.
Yes, but I have to tell you, that's happened to me. I've done, especially even in live production, everything from broken ankles during the week of a show to all kinds of, feeling not well. Basically, the adrenaline in your body will help you to get through a live performance, but make sure to get the physical care as soon as you can. If there's something that happens, if you need physical therapy or whatever it is, do not wait. Get it quickly, because then it will give your body a chance to heal well.
And on another side, know all of the roles that you could potentially play in any production. Yeah. Because when someone is sick or out and someone else has to be butted up, you need to be ready to handle that.
That is so true. Debbie Allen told me the exact same thing. She said, know every single role, every single line, every single song lyric, so that you know and that you are ready. That is very true.
Yes. That advice would have.
Yeah. Yes.
We'll keep going. Grace wants to know, what would you suggest to someone who has no experience in this industry but wants to get their feet wet? What's like a good start, like a good like first view, or like a good place to like step in and view the whole scene?
Yes, there are quite a few. Would you like to go ahead? I have.
Well, it really just depends on what media format you're aiming for. But no matter what media format, it is picking a small project for yourself again. So let's say you've never acted, but you want to act. Well, why not go ahead and write your own movie trailer for a movie starring you, and you play multiple roles. If you want to go ahead, if you want to write a novel, we tell people one of the first things, go to Fiverr.com and go order a cover for your novel. And then go make a table of contents and then go print that cover out and put it right in front of your computer. And I bet you're going to write something, you know. So it's those micro steps again, if you want to be a recording artist, you know, go where recording artists are. Go to beatstars.com. Don't just go where the people who are trying to do commerce and trying to do, you know, go where the producers are, not just where the consumers are. Yeah, so I guess in general, that would be one of the first things. Switch from consumer mindset to producer mindset and to produce something.
Yes, and Grace, I would also say to be patient with yourself as you're learning, to be very specific about the things that you want to learn and how they can be applied to your professional career. For example, if you have an interest in doing the art specifically, is it in front of the camera? Is it behind the camera? Do you need to learn the parts of that camera? Or does it have nothing to do with the camera at all? Do you want to work with audio? Is it the microphone? You need to learn about sound waves and notes and that kind of thing. So to really identify and be specific about what it is, be patient with yourself, and then learn from someone who is doing that very thing if you have the opportunity to ask them exactly what steps they took, how they learned, what things are helpful looking ahead, then definitely do so.
And be willing to go from novice, from beginner to novice to expert. You know, let there be stages of your development. You know, a lot of times nowadays, you know, back in the days, there used to be something called artist development. That's where when people decided that they were going to invest in you, they knew that more than likely you weren't 100% ready and you needed a little bit more of time and money invested. You know, nowadays we have to do our own artist development through those same sort of iterative projects, you know, as before.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel like that advice applies so well to like in-person as well as virtual, to like self-starting projects as well as just like trying to get your feet in the door. Like find a collaborator. That's the best advice.
Build your tribe. Yes, sure. Build. If you want to be in front of the camera, find someone who's wants to be a DP, and you two collaborate.
Yeah, absolutely. I see Makia is up on the screen. Do you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Sure. First of all, I just want to say hi and congratulations to Schatar and Maxie.
Hello.
I've known Schatar for a very, very long time.
Yes.
Won't give numbers.
Filmmaker. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. I wasn't camera ready, so I had my camera off, but I'm going to ask a question. Actually, it's two parts just now. So I've really been following what you're doing with Super live streams. And also we've talked some about the platform you're building with documentaries. I'm a documentary maker and Schatar knows that. I'm wondering, like I saw what you all did with the San Antonio Black Film Festival. And, you know, I've been participating a lot, like watching and even on some panels with a lot of film festivals. They're all going, you know, virtual right now. And even if we can gather together again next year, there's probably going to be some hybrid online component, which in a lot of ways helps people like me because I don't have to travel. But I'm also wondering, like, what do you see for film festivals, the pluses and minuses of us going virtual as opposed to them being sort of these local and regional events? Any thoughts on that, about how that might change things? And then just related to that, if independent makers want to do their own, not streaming, but actual live events and live screenings with talkbacks afterwards and all of that, you know, what kinds of, you know, I don't know, insight would you offer to somebody thinking in that direction?
Would you like to?
You start there.
Okay, so definitely things are going virtual, and we understand that there are going to be some in-person components, but there are going to be a lot of virtual components, and that's going to be true for years and years to come. So knowing that, identifying exactly what type of engagement you want the people to have. With the San Antonio Black International Film Festival, we mentioned there are film pages and also filmmaker pages. So you're looking at the construction of that from the very beginning, right? At first, we're wondering, why are we making film pages? Why are we making filmmaker pages? Why are we making VIP rooms? It's to duplicate the live festival experience. As a filmmaker, you receive that VIP room where you can invite people to come and pick up your materials, talk with you, look at the trailer, and that kind of thing. And so you can have that same sort of thing in the site. So looking at just the film room, the filmmaker page, and the film page, if you tag each of those pages with a link to the actual film, so let's say we pick one film, on that film page, there's the photo, there's a link to the trailer, there's information about the film, there's the filmmaker name, but it's not just their name, it links out to wherever it needs to go to reach that filmmaker, whether it's their social or that filmmaker page. But then there's a link to where they can watch or consume that content on your platform. So it might be right there through the site, the Stages site in this case. We have them on demand as well as live. So you have to think about that construction, and it takes about 3 months to build all of that. So you want to think about that construction from the very beginning so that by the time the actual event occurs, everything is in place. So it's almost seamless for your viewers as they come. And then the filmmakers can appreciate it because it has benefits they may not have even thought of from the beginning. They are now getting the SEO benefits from that festival as well as from that film page. It's almost like a mini social media campaign for each filmmaker. And I love that part because we get a chance to promote them.
Yes, and you have to look at what your goals are. Are your goals reach and influence, or are your goals income? And in some cases, we can align those. But, you know, again, look at how many Instagram influencers have substantial reach and influence and maybe or may not have income. You know, so in this case, and it's funny too, because on the one hand, we know that we helped the San Antonio Black International Film Festival reach more people than ever by having to go virtualized. So that brand and the impressions is now on tens of thousands of people. You know, and even when I think about like DJ D Nice, you know, those of us around the music industry have known about D Nice and connected with him since the late 80s. All of a sudden he does Club Quarantine and Michelle Obama's out there rocking out with the brother, you know? And so now look at the reach and the influence. And we watched, all of us, in real time as his Instagram numbers climbed and his reach climbed. Then, and the same thing with the verses, you know, but then it reaches a certain point where we say, well, for sustainability, we have to look at the monetization. How are we going to keep this going? Is this just going to be a fad? Is it going to be a blip in the cyberspace? Or is it going to be a brand that's here a year from now? So therefore, we have to invest for reach, and we have to invest for monetization. Because let's take the case of a film festival. If we're just aiming for monetization, then we say, okay, cool. How many people can we get to this page who are going to convert to ticket sales? That is our goal, getting people to that page and converting them to ticket sales. However, our goal was to grow the brand, San Antonio Black International Film Festival, and then every film brand that had the good fortune of being part of that film festival. So we had to keep sight of that goal, and that superseded certain financial and economic decisions.
This is awesome. Does anybody else in the chat or just want to raise their hand and ask a question? Does anyone have any other questions from our participants?
We appreciate everybody who's hung with us this long.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
I just wanted to say, I mean, so helpful, I think. And I think this is the first, I knew this going in, the first time we've had career mentors that have like such a business side of things and the marketing and everything else. Most of the time they're just telling you how to get your foot in the door, which is also great, and tips for that and things like that. But it was new for us and it was great. I especially that was wonderful, bringing the memorabilia, Schatar. That was just such a nice. Dana Troy, who couldn't stay on the call, she's associate director at Roku. She and I were chatting about that, those pictures and the program and everything. That was awesome. And then I really feel like you made a great connection with everyone about making your own stuff and like that whole sharecropper analogy you used, Maxie. Like that was that that was the perfect visual and the perfect way to describe that. I think that it had meaning, and you guys are just, I don't know, it was very warm and very informative, and I hope that everybody on the call got things. If no one else has any questions, I would like to ask just one ending question. Unless someone else has a question now, I want to give it up to them. So I guess this one's for you, Schatar. What about your pen experience did you find most tangible or most transferable, I should say, to your career?
So many. Everything from 8 o'clock classes, you know, really early, having to be on set sometimes, leaving home at 4 a.m. to get there by 5 or 6. All of these things, it set a clear list of goals so that you can achieve those goals at regular intervals. And that applies every single day to what we're doing, even what we were telling our son earlier today.
That's amazing. This was just lovely. So
thank you all for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you
for reaching out. I'm glad this worked out, and looking forward to continuing our connection.
Same here. And if anyone has any questions, you know, going forward, they can reach us at info@superlivestreams.com, and I'm happy to answer them. I'm also on QuakerNet. People can reach me through there as well.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for your time. Thank you. Okay, have a good night.